Hi everyone, welcome to this session of November to Remember. I'm so happy to be here with you to this series of talk. My name is Shireen. I'm a student in University of Bolton, and I'm glad to be here with you. Please inform any of your friends that you think this session could be helpful for them. Okay, with no wasting time, I would like to invite my co-host, Peace, to read a biography of Dr. Celestine, because today we are with Dr. Celestine, and the topic of today is, just a moment, the topic of today is research excellence, better your best. With no wasting time, Peace, could you help me?
Okay. Thank you very much, Shireen. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. I thank the management and colleagues, Dr. Celestine, our big lecturer, for this opportunity to be doing this. So, a brief biography of Dr. Celestine. Dr. Celestine is a PhD holder, a research coordinator, a senior lecturer in the School of Creative Technologies, University of Bolton, United Kingdom, a distinguished speaker, ACM IEEE brand ambassador. Can anybody hear me? Yeah. Okay. Dr. Celestine is an IEEE brand ambassador, a visiting professor with many universities. He is well established in his career as a research coordinator, both home and abroad. He is a Faculty of Engineering lecturer, BIHER, Chennai School of Computing and Engineering, Rangarajan, Dr. Sangutala, Research Development Institute of Science and Technology, Avadi, Chennai, India. An honorable adjunct professor, a Center of Excellence in Robotics and Mechatronics, Department of Mechatronics, School of Technology and Engineering, ITM Baroda University, India. He is also an honorary professor in School of Computing, Science and Engineering, Galgotias University, India. He is an investigator in the Center of Excellence in Robotics and Mechatronics, the Department of Mechatronics, School of Technology and Engineering, ITM Baroda University, India. He's an associate professor, a senior lecturer with the School of Creative Technologies, University of Bolton, United Kingdom. He's also a fellow of the Higher Education Academy, United Kingdom, and a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants. He received his PhD in electronics from University of Aberdeen, United Kingdom. He received his MSc from Uppsala University, Sweden, another MSc from Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria, and BSc from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Nigeria. This all goes to show that we have an opportunity to be sitting under a very well-read, established individual in his field, someone that knows his onions. Is a rare privilege. His research interests include artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, wireless sensor networks, network cybersecurity, machine learning, data networks, etc. He has authored over 100 peer-reviewed articles. He has served as chair, program, publicity, and track on top conferences and workshops. He has delivered over 65 invited and keynote talks. Dr. Celestine is an distinguished speaker. an ACM member, an IEEE Computational Intelligence Society, senior member, Swedish Engineers, member, Nigeria Society of Engineers, member, Smart Cities Community, IEEE member. He is the branch counselor, IEEE University of Bolton student branch, and a former board member, IEEE Sweden section. He is mentoring several PhD students in artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, and blockchain. He has developed operational maintenance and testing procedures for electronic products, components, equipment, and systems. He has provided technical support and instruction to several organizations. He is a community developer, a philanthropist, an international speaker in many top conferences and webinars. Dr. Celestine is listed among the 2% top scientists list for 2 years. The list has been prepared by Stanford University and published by Elsevier, the University of Bolton, IEEE.
So, thank you. Thank you, Pete. It was so introduced. I really have to say, yeah, I have a big chance to be this event, and I think this event is the last day of this series of talk, and I think after that we have to wait for the next year to have again this series of talk of November to remember. And I will be with you at the end of the session for the part of Q&A. And please, all of these friends, feel free to write your question in the chat box, and please mute yourself at the end of the session. We will back to you for the part of Q&A. And now it's time to say a big welcome to Dr. Celestine Iwendi. Dr. Celestine. Hi. We can't hear you, Dr. Celestine.
Okay,
I think you're muted.
Yeah, hi.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. All right. I want to thank everyone for coming, and thanks for the students that are here. So we'll be looking at, what do you call it? We don't need to do all the announcement and review, but for our online sake that are listening, so that we can have them documented. Now, we are actually looking at what I call research excellence in terms of how to better your best in research. Now, the good thing is that it's coming now to some of you as new, but it will be an introduction to what you're going to see next semester. So that's why I decided to make sure that everyone is here with it, listening even in the lecture and also online. Now, there are three kinds of people, which I always say, three kinds of people: those who create problems, those who solve problems, and those who sit down to what the problems and their solution. You know, now, why do we have such people? We have such people because there must be people who will be hailing you. There must be people who are applauding you. There must be people who are also criticizing you. And there must be people who you should be looking up to in terms of trying to be the best at what you can do in life. So we have it, like I always say in the lecture room, that your imagination is your preview of your life's coming attraction. And the problems of research excellence listen to the assault of a creative thinker. If you're a creative thinker, there's nothing that you cannot do. Number two, you're not going anywhere in destiny until you start asking questions. The solutions you render to every question will catapult you to a place of prominence. Why is research important? Research is important because it develops what we call excellence. In other words, excellence is an art. There is no destination. Every future attainment of excellence requires the same tactics used in your first victory. Every future attainment of excellence requires the same tactics used in your first victory. In other words, you need to develop your victory mechanism. You need to develop your victory strategies. And then, like I keep saying, life is a kingdom of choices and chances. You know, your opportunity doesn't come once. It comes as you create it. Number two, of the major one, is that you can actually better your best when you cultivate the habit of listening to those who have made impact, those who have succeeded before you. And when I meet such great people, the question I ask is, show me just one secret. When I meet great men, I tell them, I say, can you just tell me one thing that you do consistently that makes you great? You know, you see some of them will laugh and say, you want to try it, you know? And I said, yes, it's very good. Because listening to motivational speakers is not enough. Acting on what was delivered will separate you from the crowd of failures. Acting on what was delivered will separate you from the crowd of failures. So there's nothing like something for nothing. Every prize requires a price. If I'm going to achieve anything, I must work hard for it. So you can better your best in research. Now let's come down into research excellence. Looking at research definition, challenging your creativity, how to improve your research, tips on 1 minute thinking. You see, I've demonstrated this last week in the lecture for some of my students. Introduction to citation, indexing, and concept. Now, why do I make this very important in research? If you understand these basic terminologies in research, there is nothing you cannot do in research. And why is it good? Ability to have that research tendency, research knowledge will always help you, even in other papers that you are doing. Like the Web of Science, which always lists the best research people, the best research schools, the best research organization, the best research individual. We have, of course, we have bias in research. Do we have research index? Yes. There's Scopus Journal, there's also other sites here. They will look at a comment on bibliometry, and then I'll give you a research proposal format of a good paper. Now, this is how research is. Research is like someone who has a girlfriend, and yet he sees a beautiful lady outside, and he's still admiring the lady. Why? Because the lady has something. The lady is not interested in him. But no, the lady is a top-class researcher. Like I keep telling you that there are two kinds of people. The currency, type of currency, the performance currency, and the relationship currency. When you have a performance currency, you are like this lady. It's not because of your gender, no. It's because of what you produce. And if you want to work on research, you must be a high-class performance, and a high-class performance that is visible. It is only when you are visible that people will tend to listen to you. So some of us who have come from African places, is when you have the money, your elder stands for you. When you don't have money, no elder will stand for you. When you're talking in the community, nobody listens because they look at you as a bunch of failure. You know, but once you have money, once you have that, you command influence. You know, you command influence. But the fact is, a poor man is not a man without money, but a man without vision. So that is what makes a man poor. Because the poorest man on earth is a man whose only wealth is money. When he has nothing in his brain, the money will finish. Something can happen, and whatever you have will disappear. So this is how research is. It's like looking at the best and becoming the best. So here is to better your best in this program. Now, what does research excellence mean? Research excellence is clearly discipline specific. But a common characteristic of world-class researchers is that they are involved in shifting paradigms and creating new models of human understanding. Ability to look at what others look at and see what they cannot see makes you a good researcher. It's not just looking at what others look at, it's bringing out what we call the detail of what they cannot see. So they are actively involved in what we call constructively criticizing perceived wisdom in a specified field. That's what Mike Otto said about research. So the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, they define research as creative work undertaken on a systemic basis in order to increase the stock of knowledge. including knowledge of man, knowledge of culture and society, and the use of this stock of knowledge to devise new applications. Now, what is the purpose? Helping universities to grow is one of the purposes. In the ranking, the research influence of a university is measured by the number of times that work by an academic at that university is cited by another scholar. So how do we know good universities? We check them on how well they are rated in worldwide. Are they good in teaching? Are they good in research? Personal growth. Research also helps you in your personal growth. The more research visibility and impact, the higher your opportunities for excellence. The more research opportunity, the higher your chances for jobs. The more research visibility, the higher your chances for people to notice you, and you are kind of promoted even in your working place. So another area of research excellence is technological growth and world recognition. Like for me, I became a senior member of IEEE, Computational Intelligence, listed among the 2%. It's not because I wrote them and said, add my name. No, you were located by algorithm. So if algorithm can pick you among how many billions in the world, that means whatever you are doing is being noticed. That is what research is. Now look at the methodology. Every school, for some of you tomorrow, you begin to work in this school. Every school is being graded in terms of university ranking by this percentage. Teaching, 30%. And under that teaching, which is the learning environment, we have the reputation survey, we have staff to student ratio, we have doctorate to bachelor's ratio, we have doctorates awarded to academic staff ratio, we have institutional income. Now, imagine what Bolton does, why we have your classes separated in 30, in 31. Why? Because we want to make sure we have the staff to student ratio to be equal. Instead of having 1,000 in a class. Imagine what happens in underdeveloped countries where you have 1,000 in a class and you have only one teacher. So that ratio is not met. In other words, they will not be able to key into 30%. Now you wonder why other places that are not developed are not in the university ranking. Now, the second one is research. Now, teaching is 30%, research is 30%, which gives you reputation survey. In other words, the research talks about what income is coming into the school, what research income, what research productivity. Recently, we got an award of 3 million, and we're getting other awards coming into the school. That tells us that the research capacity of University of Bolton is increasing. We also have citation, which is 30%. Now, we have citation, which is another research influence. So imagine, if a school has 30% from citation, you have everyone writing papers, including this conference we're having today. A few minutes ago, we just finished having a meeting of the conference we're planning in February. And then in that conference, we're expecting that Bolton will submit 50 papers. What does that mean? We are increasing our tendency for publication in each department. International outlook has 7.5%. How international domestic ratio in terms of having people from Nigeria, having people from China, having people from India attending our schools. Domestic staff ratio 2.5%, international collaboration. How well is your school linked up with other schools? You could see personally, we are linked up, our school is linked up with some schools in Dubai, some in China, and then we are creating others. In other words, how well a school performs in international can give them the 7.5%. Then we have industry income. Now we are planning what we call knowledge transfer. In the conference we are having, we are bringing in knowledge transfer of companies in February, which will also help our students in terms of job. So when you put all this together, it gives you 100%. So when you see top schools having they're top schools, this is the criteria that makes them top school. Our school is very good here in terms of teaching. That's why you have 30%. But we are developing that research tendency so that we can have more percentage and then citations. So we can have that also in the ranking. So, but something about research excellence is ability to demonstrate, to develop your creativity. That is your thought. That's number one. What you write, research papers, and what you publish. How you publish it, where you publish it. That's what we'll be looking at the steps. Making your research what I call simple, stupid. Step one is very simple. Ask questions. Those who ask questions will not have a futile destiny. Number two, brainstorm resources. How do you check your resources that you're using? And that is what we teach in research method, even in Bolton. Ability to teach you how you search papers and how you understand those papers. Step three is locate your resources. That's what we have. How do you locate resources? How do you use materials to locate resources? How do you take notes? I'm giving you all this as the key to research excellence. How do you organize those notes? And how do you improve on those notes? When you have it as a simple, stupid, you have fun. Research is fun. Because whatever gives you fun is because you have passion for it. And if you have passion for it, like I keep saying, passion that you do consecutively is what guarantees your financial stability. If you want to have financial stability, your passion must be consistently consistent. And it is until you are consistently consistent, you cannot achieve anything in life. Not just one success. It takes one idea to get to the top, but it remains many ideas to remain at the top. So it comes to improving your research. You learn the art of searching and plan your search strategically will help you to understand the logic of search engines. Search engines will help you develop useful results. When your idea is systematically recorded, in other words, what happens is you are looking at what others looked at. No, but you are looking with a different eyeball. You are looking with a different style. You can look at someone. I said this in my class one time. I went with my colleague who is the manager of Vertiva, and we went to watch Manchester play Chelsea. I was there screaming, Chelsea is scoring. And then they started losing. He's Manchester fan. No, he was not interested in the ball. He was interested in calculating how much bottle of water is being sold, how much headscarf is being sold. He was calculating. We went to watch football, but his understanding was different from mine. As an accountant, he was thinking of the benefits of his financial capability, what he can make out from that ball. Why some of us just go to enjoy? We just went there to have fun. So in your fun, can you be passionate in your fun to move your career? So how do we trace citations to unlock the scholarly conversation on your topic over time? Not just one time. So you need to learn the reference list, either from an article or from book. And then from this, you get what the author is actually, the argument of the author. So you explore the expert guides related to your research. Now, expert helps find and evaluate research from different perspectives. Navigate tools like EndNote, SPSS. These are terms and tools we use while we are working in our research. How do we improve our research? You start from a broad angle and then dive into specific. I divide PhD as knowing more and more of less and less. It's not knowing more and more of more and more. No, of less and less. Until your research gets into less and less, you cannot be a developer. You cannot achieve anything in your research. You cannot create anything new because almost everything is created. So we use search engines, not just Wikipedia and Google to find basic overview with a brief history and key points, but we learn to recognize a quality source. Determine a reliable source requires analytical skills and critical thinking. That was why I defined critical thinking at first, that the way you think determines what you see. The author needs to be an expert in that field, and the source needs to agree with other sources you have found. You verify information from several sources to ensure the veracity of your research. At least 2 other places to verify that what you are doing is true. Now, this is why people search names when they are searching for papers, because they want to see if that top man, that top professor has mentioned this and is correct, then that means this assertion, this law is correct. But something much more is to be open to surprising answers. I keep saying that research is not only getting something 100%. Research can also be to get something at 0%. What do you get? when you're working on your research. So it's not only just to like say, I want to discover the solution. I can also discover a way of not doing the right thing. So I can be cited, I can be quoted. In a family where nobody is doing well, only one person is doing well. Let's say you have 5 family members and only you are the one doing well. Somebody can cite the other 4 as not doing well in your family. That is research. Not only citing only one person doing well, but they can cite the other 4 that they're not doing well. That is how research is. Now, I can use that person not doing well and speak to someone else and say, don't be like that family where 4 of them are not doing well. What have I done? I've cited 4 people, even though it was a negative citation, but I've cited them in a conversation. I've cited them in my article. The same way it is in research. You can cite something positive. You can also cite something negative, you know, where you're trying to bring out something that should not be, like in a course in solution, where you have to write out something in paradigms. That's something that is not suitable for your answer. So that is how it is. Open mind, always in research. Open mind to develop an accurate understanding of your topic. I've shared this many times in the lecture. I'm putting it online now, that in terms of 1-minute thinking, you need to read every sentence. You need to write and summarize every sentence. You need to combine your thoughts and your writings in a paragraph. Your plagiarism will be greatly reduced. This is a trick to write literature review and avoid plagiarism. We discussed today in my lecture where our students were talking about lots of plagiarism, you know, in underdeveloped countries, universities, even where the lecturers are copying. Why? Because this technique, they don't understand that reading someone else's paper, you must give credit to whoever is presenting that paper. Now, let's look at how citation is being done in terms of citation index, linking the article with cited works. Now, this was originally developed by researchers to find subsequent articles that cite in a given article, invented by Dr. Eugene Garfield. An example of citation is what we have called ISS, Institute for Scientific Information. You can see this in the Google citation, Web of Science, ResearchGate citation, ORCID visibility. Now, do you need this as a student? Of course, yes. Do you need this as a researcher? Of course, yes. Do you have Google citation? Some have not even have any publication. Are you listed in Web of Science? These are places people check you out. If you are going to be a lecturer, if you are going to be a teacher, if you are going to even work in the industry. If I Google your name, will I Google you, seeing you in Facebook, eating and drinking? People want to Google you and Google and see what you are doing in ResearchGate, for example. These are places where you can be searched to see what you are doing in terms of research. Why do literature research matter? It matters because it makes us to avoid unwitting duplication of research, waste time, waste effort, and waste fund, and also plagiarism issues. That is why we do research. It also links us to databases. Very soon you begin to hear SI, SCI, SSCI, A, and ACI. All these are databases that check research, that check your publication, that know whether your publication is quality or whether they are just quantity without effect. And then you can also virtually have all disciplines covered in this area, whether in law, in psychology, whether in accountancy, or whether in management, they're all there. So we call it Web of Knowledge. It's a dynamic integrated web-based environment, Web of Science, that produce over 3,200 journals and much more, 1,400 journals with social science citation, arts and humanities, citation, and these are actually updated every time. So if I want to look for a journal where I want to publish, I'll search ISI Web of Science, because there you will see the list of quality of journals that you can put up your paper. Are they easy? No. Some papers, some journals will allow you 1 year. You know, 1 year, you submit your paper and you wait for a whole 1 year before it's accepted. So they have rules. Some have 4 months, some have 3 months. You can see from this website how you can actually search for the journal that you need, that is related to what you are writing, so you can write a paper on it. So the concept of citation, like I said, symbolizes what we call the conceptual association of scientific ideas. as recognized by publishing research authors, while the references you cite their papers. So you make explicit linkages between this current research and prior work in the archive of scientific literature. Ability to have this will help you distinguish between citation and reference. For example, if I say if paper R contains a bibliographic footnote using and describing paper C, then I could say R contains a reference to C. In other words, I could also say C has a citation from her. So you could see how we interchange them, citation and their reference. Now, the number of references a paper has is a measure of the number of times in its bibliography as endnotes, footnotes, etc. The number of citations a paper is found by looking up in a citation index and how many papers mention it. How do we increase your citation? Now, you come to a level when you become a lecturer or you start writing research, you need to increase your citation, especially those listening to me now who are in the academic. You must use a unique name. Today, your name is John Paul. Tomorrow your name is Paul J. Next tomorrow, your name is John P. In other words, when you publish that way, nobody knows, even the algorithm will not be able to pick your name out. Now, I have an issue with someone with help in admission. He answers John Okafor. The wife answers, in other words, the man bears the father's name. The wife answers her maiden name, Mary Dante. And then the child answers the father's name, Michael John. That is a confusion, what I call a convention of confusion in a family. Because now when they apply for visa, it was a problem. The man answers the father's name, the wife answers the maiden's name, and the son answers his name, not his father's name. So you have three names that we're applying for visa. So they had to do DNA and not certification. So that is exactly how it is in research. What name do you answer? Your name must be consistent. If the algorithm must locate your paper, you must be consistent with your name. If you're answering three names, be sure that those three names must always be. But the problem with three names in research is this. When you answer three names, you get problem when you are having many other co-authors. Your work will be so full that you will not know which one to use at a particular time. So you must use a unique and be consistent with it through your academic careers. Standardize institutional affiliation and address with no abbreviation. Repeat key phrases in the abstract while writing naturally. Assign keyword to terms in the manuscript. Publish in journal with high impact factor. Save archives articles. Keep your professional web pages and publish lists up to date. Make your research easy to find, especially for online researchers. And make your research open access. What is open access? Open access are papers where I need to download without paying to download those papers. I know now some of you are looking at references and it says, if you're university, you're not using your university login, you say pay. Those are not open access. Open access are the one you can open and read without paying any money. And then the good thing about open access is that it helps people, to cite your paper easily because they don't need to pay to read. Some after they pay, they discover they don't need the information, so they stop paying, for all papers. So I advise people always publish in open access. I have tried as much as possible. All my publications are open access. We try to pay for the cost for those who are researching to use it and cite us easily. So write a review paper. A review paper is always very good if you want to increase your recitation. Join academic social networking sites. Papers with a larger number of callouts are likely to receive a higher number of citations. Avoid selecting a question type of title. When your paper title is like a question, nobody wants to cite you. Present a working paper. A working paper means a paper that has future results. Publicize yourself. Link your latest published article to your email signature. Put them on your social media, and then publish your work in a journal with the highest number of abstracting and indexing. These are ways of increasing your citation. Publish tutorials, create a podcast describing a research project, sharing detailed research data, team authored articles. Now, why is it important? You know, the more people you know, the more the channel of miracles. So learn to work together with others. Use more references, publish papers with Nobel laureates. Web of Science, like I've said, search current and retrospective multidisciplinary information from nearly 8,500 research journals in the world. Users can navigate forward, backward, and through the literature, searching all disciplines and time span to uncover a whole lot of information relevant to their research. So Web of Science has that. It has these advantages: no subject judgment to be made about relevant descriptors. It's faster, no limit to index times. All cited references are indexed. Now, we have some problems, of course. It requires manual effort during indexing, expensive, bias issues, only one possible solution, what we call autonomous citation indexing. Then we have something called the bias continues in terms of biometric indicators. For instance, we have most of the publications in English. Can we have Iran publication cited? Can we have India publication cited? Can we have publications from Nigeria cited in Igbo, in Yoruba? No, we have in English. So in other words, it is English-dominated research. So these are bias, you know. So Chinese created their own, you know, system where people can publish in Chinese. And those papers are also accepted as top quality paper. So, I remember they have over how many billion people, so their papers can always be cited. So we have a lot of criticism in management of ISA and all that, you know, but that is another day's discussion. So we have what we call research index, what we call the CITES, you know, the autonomous citation indexing, citation contest, full test indexing, and creating all kinds of awareness and tracking. This helps us to track where your papers are cited, where your papers are registered, who is citing you, and all that to come in. So it's actually, you know, download the paper from the web, convert tests and pairs. You know, pairs test is another algorithm or kind of programming that picks all this information. And then we have stored them in database. So for those working in data analytics, you understand this better because it works in database. And database is ability to keep information in data, you know, like talking about where information is being annexed and how your information is being used, you know. So pages can contain, so it has a kind of systematic way of data acquisition, your document acquisition, you know. Is it illegal? Yes, because they pick your information. You are the one who have put the information online anyway. That's why we sign license, we sign, you know, a copyright form to all these papers so that our papers can be cited. So it's not a case of saying, oh, is it ethical? No, you've already given them the permission to cite your papers. So we also have the document passing where the downloaded PostScript files are first converted into text. And then we extract them in URL, in header, in abstract, introduction, citation, citation context, and full text. So these are kind of preamble of what you need to know in research that brings up research excellence. Then we have the querying and the browsing. First query, like keyword said, used to return a list of citations. Remember, you already have them, just like artificial intelligence. You already have them saved. You already have them in CITES. So it's easier to call it up, you know, and then you can search anything online. So we have quite a whole lot of advantages also, just like Web of Science. You know, there's no bias, no subjective selection of journals. It takes every journal, user feedback on each article, and so on and so forth. It also has areas of improvement, you know, because it does not cover more significant journals comprehensively. And then sometimes cannot distinguish subfields as accurately as CITES, you know. So you have some ambiguity, two authors with the same name, you know. So like one of my articles was written with my student, but, you know, he's from China, he's Chinese, and another teacher actually who wrote more paper, who has more papers. And then, you know, that one wrote me and said, oh, Celestine, can we collaborate? I checked his name, happened to be the same name with my student. And then I discovered my article I wrote with my student went to him and not to my student. So it's in his own record. So That is what happens to some of these research index. If you are not using consistent name, if your name is a common name, it's like having an IEEE email alias. You always say whether your email is the same with others. You will first check, which is very good. So based on that, you can now say, based on my email alias with IEEE, I can also have a name where I will be using in my publication that is specific to a particular, to me, so that anytime my paper is cited, somebody else will not claim it. But my colleagues from India and China always have that problem because they have similar names. So always check if your name is similar to another name, because most of your work will actually go to that person if you are not visible enough more than that person. So another one is Scopus Journal. Now, the University of Bolton requires 4 publications from Scopus Journal before you're admitted as a PhD. So it's a biggest citation database, and actually what the university uses, in terms of looking at number of staff, looking at number of publications the staffs are making. So it is a reputable organization within the academic community that improve the research work. And then this has been developed and is being used by millions of academics, researchers, scholars all over the world. So you have the Scopus Journal also. They have strict policies. We are even getting some now for our conferences. Now, we also know that they made it possible for users to search for their favorite journals by entering simple detail, such as their preferred subject of interest, the title of your specific journal. So I can actually search for a journal by ISSN, by the DOL, or by just the name of the publisher, or by the name of the author, or the title of the paper that I'm looking for. So it has its own requirement. They are language, high suitable quality manuscript, compliance with magazine style, informative fullness, conciseness, and capacity for the slated material. We have also observance of ethnic principles and norms of public process, paramount importance. So we cannot ignore this reputation of this journal with very high reputation. Because it gives overall good impression to the author. Now, this is what we are thinking of when you talk about bibliometric analysis. You compare a drunk man who is looking for his keys under a street lamp. When asked by a passerby as to why he's looking there, the reply was, this is where the lamp is. Because he's drunk, he doesn't know, even when the light is there. So you need to know what you are searching for, and to know how to get it. And that is the only thing that can bring you to a very good research excellence. So, like I keep saying, crisis critics say the publication just provide easy data and that the assessment of real quality needs more quantitative consideration. That's why we check the paper with our style before we go more into it. Now, this brings us to what some of you are going to see next semester in terms of research methodology. This was a design. I designed this and it has been downloaded over 100,000 times in the world, online, because it brings a summary of everything about research, what you are looking for, especially when you're writing research proposal. Now, take note, research proposal, bid proposal is not only just in academics, it's also in industry, where you are meant to present a proposal for a job, a proposal for a bid, a proposal for, whatever. And once you have gotten your master's or you're an academic, they expect you to know this very well. So what goes on in your introduction? Your research question should be what, why, how? In other words, it's a summary of your proposal. While in literature review, we will be seeing literature on topic, literature on method, your approach, how you find a hole, and how you look for debates. In next semester, I'll be teaching some of my students this in research method. And then what do you look for in methodology? I'll be giving you that mathematical analysis of research design, research procedures, kind of data, collection procedure. How do you collect? How do you train your data? How do you select? How do you assess? What are the human subject review, the ethical statement, cost and the funding, the evidence of importance? How do you form your methodology? And a statement of limitation. So these are all the things we do, in research. Alternative, weaknesses. Conclusion, you come back again to what, why, how. Once you have these terminologies, research becomes easy and fun. Now, how to read and bring out novel ideas in a paper without copying anybody's work, without plagiarizing their work. For quick overview of any research paper, you read the title, you read the keywords, you read the abstract, you read the introduction, you read the conclusion, browse your paper quickly. Give attention to figures and tables. And where do you check when you're looking for papers? IES Plus, Science Direct, Google Scholar, ACM Digital Library, web pages of researchers, repositories like Bolton has University Repository. You archive them, you ResearchGate. These are all areas where we can search for our papers. Now, how do you increase your H index? A time will come for some of you who are interested in academics to understand this. You know, acceptable ways, you collaborate with more mature researchers. You choose your journal. Now, what is H index? H index was initially created to know how much a work is going, how much effect is your writing, how much effect is your publication. It was not meant to be a system of recruitment, which is now. Now they want to know how is your H index, how high is your H index before you are recruited. No, those days it was created to know how high your research impact is. It's actually H index, is impact of your research. But now it has turned into something else. You know, it has turned into job opening, it has turned into all kinds of validation of your research mentality and research greatness. You know, so you choose your journal carefully, you publish open access, you think about your audience. Network, network, network. I've said and I repeat, the more people you know, the more the channel of blessings, the more the channel of research publication. You know less people, you publish less. So work on your writing. Show up on social media. I've defined H index as the author level metric that measures the productivity and citation impact of the publications of a scientist or scholar. So it's calculated by counting the number of publications for which an author has been cited by other authors at least that same number of times. For instance, for H index of 17 means that the scientist has published at least 17 papers that have been cited 17 times. 17 papers cited 17 times will give you 17 H index. So in summary and goals, how do you increase your publication? You increase your research visibility, you collaborate with more people, you establish, you know, we're trying to establish Center of Excellence for Research in Robotics, AI, and Cybersecurity. Soon, we are trying to increase citations and have venue for 500 papers. We are trying to be world influence and networking using LinkedIn. We encourage all our masters to have at least one top publication, you know. So when you come into research method, I will show you the possibility, because if you are thinking of going for a PhD, you must have 4 papers before you are admitted. So in other words, we encourage you to have a publication. PhD students will have much more. And then it helps with the university ranking if a staff is part of the publication. So our goal is to become a community that empowers businesses. It's not just to have publication, but to use whatever you are publishing and doing as a spin-off or spin-out to a company, you know, where you can create your own company based on your idea. But your publication is what will make them know that you have published your paper. All right, this is my thank you dance. And is this still dancing? Oh, yes. And then ask your question. Now, this is AI. These 2 things I've done is AI. All right, thank you very much. Now, question time.
Thank you, Dr. Celestine. Yeah, it was a very actually great event that I had ever. And just to want ask the friends, please write your question in the chat box, and my friend Peace is here to read your question. And if you want, you can use your microphone. Please raise your hand and ask your questions. Peace.
Okay, thank you so very much, Dr. Celestine. Man like Celestine. It was illuminating. In fact, you know, anytime I listen to you, I get hope that we can actually do something and we can actually achieve something. You give us a lot of hope. Thank you so very much, sir, for those solid words. Thank you for taking the time. Okay, so do we have questions? If you have questions, you could put them in the chat, because we have.
May I ask my first question?
Okay.
Okay. My question is about manual indexing, because as you always, all of my friends know, when you want to write your paper or your research, the most important point for me is indexing the some articles that I'm reading, and I want to use them in my report. But somehow it's difficult to remember which one is related to each one. And sometimes I write by my hand. For example, this part is related to this article. Is there any software to use for this type of indexing, control indexing?
Yes, there. Thank you very much for that. There's actually RefWorks. Okay. There's actually EndNote, you know, and I think the university has one also, you know, but it's more like all these are all algorithm. Like I keep saying, stick to one, because there are many types. Stick to one. Look at the EndNotes that the university is checking. Look at what do you call it, LibNems, you know, that has with the Bolton. But for other schools, maybe your own school has a particular type of, you know, of indexing. It's very good to know where you have copied, you know, or you have an idea. Remember, we don't copy, but have an idea of a paper. So, but by the time you put it, you know, in that referencing, okay, it says the university recommends Mandalay. You know, so if university recommends Mandalay, then use Mandalay. That means there's also a link between the Mandalay and the Harvard method, you know, but be consistent, you know. So if we use the Mandalay, then we use the Mandalay to make that work.
Thank you very much.
So either use EndWorks or use the Mandalay. Yes. It says, like the person is saying, you can highlight your text and keep notes in Mandalay. So that is a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mosumula, for that quick one. Okay. Do we have other questions? Bring in your questions. Bring your questions now. This is an open check we have, guys. Bring your questions, and you can write in your questions, and let's have Doctor answer them. One of the things I grabbed from this talk is, he said that we should brainstorm our sources, your resources, brainstorm them and locate your resources. So doctor, how do we do this? How do we brainstorm and locate? Because the information I have is just probably googling or going to the library and get, you know, just sit down and work on the systems. But if you say we should brainstorm and locate, how do we do this, sir?
Yeah, I first mentioned when you're talking about resources, which is important, you know, in those scale, you use a whole lot of information based on your career. If I'm going to work on engineering things, my first goal would be IEEE. You know, the next thing is Google ResearchGate. Because in ResearchGate, some papers may be paid journals, paid papers, but you can find them in ResearchGate by the authors for free. So you don't need to. And in ResearchGate, I've seen people write me in ResearchGate requesting me to give them access to my papers that are paid journals. And because I saved them in hidden or secret, I released it to them. And I said, it cannot be outside because of the copyright, but you can download it and use it to work. So those are the areas. But like I said, lack of information deforms a man. It is only information that transforms a man. Yeah, information use that transforms a man. But lack of it deforms a man. So if you don't know this, you already have problem of where, for instance, where you are getting your data. Some of you are going to do your dissertation soon. You will now begin to say, where will I get data? IEEE has what we call data port. As IEEE member, you already know, I can go into IEEE and into the data port and get as many data as possible. Is it possible to use my data for my dissertation? Not possible, because you have very small amount of time. Most of those data in IEEE data port took something like 5 years, some 10 years to get those data. So you can't be doing your research for 5 years. That means paying school fees 5 years. In fact, if you don't kick yourself out from Bolton, they will kick you out and say you are finished. So you can't be saying, I'm looking for data in India. I'm going to Nigeria to look for data. No, you use data that are there. The issue is the data is there, is stored, like what we normally say in ethics. And the person who stored it is the person who took time to work on the data. And most of these data are actually paid for by organization, either EU, or Ukraine, that's the United Kingdom Research Institute and others. So, or in America. So they paid for them because government taxpayers pay for it. They put it online. Anything taxpayers pay for is always online. So you can go there and use their data to work, to compare. Because you will not begin to take, for instance, you want to check how many people are selling crayfish in a place in Africa. Number one, who sells crayfish? Have you been there? How long do you know the numbers of people who are selling, the number of people who are buying? Somebody may have done all this research and keep the record, waiting for somebody someday to use it to work. So based that this data is already there, saving you a whole lot of money, then you go out and use the data to work. So that is why you get data. In IEEE Explore, in Google in Google Scholar, in ResearchGate, like I've mentioned. I'm going to put this slide on. You are going to see the video after so that you can go through it and go through it. This is the beginning of your research goal. And then when you start doing other research, every other thing works. Now, someone is asking, with the workload and academic schedule for some of us that are changing careers, how easy can it be to write and publish 4 articles in reputation journals? I said something. Number one is collaborate. One person, one lecturer from Robert Gordon University, he wrote me, and he was very surprised I replied. And then he said he has written so many people, they never replied. And then he was looking to collaborate with me to publish. And then I told him that why I reply people is that when I was in your shoe, I wrote so many professors, well-known professors from Africa, from everywhere. Nobody replied me. That I told myself that when I get to the top, I will always reply people. So, and he was very surprised. He said, "Oh, your profile is so high, and you took time to reply me." And when he started working with me last Christmas, I saw an award. RGU gave him an award as the fastest upcoming staff. And then he sent the award. He said, this award should have been to me, not to him. But I told him, my friend, you are in RGU. I am there. Everyone, the stars are created to shine. The problem is that we tend to compete. Stars never compete. There's no collision with stars. But when I see people, we had a meeting today, and somebody was saying, oh, he was supposed to be part of the committee, but he saw somebody there and he said, oh, because the person is here, he's going to take my own job. And I used that word. I said, no, there is no collision with stars. Why we compete with ourselves is because we don't understand that we need one another, you know? And I said, sometimes the person you hate the most is the person you need the most to get to your pinnacle of greatness. The person you hate the most is the person you need the most to get to your pinnacle of greatness. But people don't know. So if you keep hating many people, you will go nowhere in life. So be open, write to people, collaborate, write. Don't say, oh, they don't reply, write. You may fall into a category of someone that will reply one day, and that can be the beginning of your destiny.
Thank you so very much, sir. Questions are coming in for you. We have a question from...
With someone asked, show more light on the keys to research excellence. It's like
Yes.
whole program again. So go through my materials. I'll send the materials to you. You know, I've given the major keys to excellence. The major keys to excellence in terms of research, you know, in terms of your belief. That was why I first said the idea is not just research. The idea is here. This is it. This is the first idea. If you know this, you can be anything. Your imagination, what you think, how you think, you know. If you understand these steps, your research excellence will be easy. You see, so that was why I mentioned it in the headline. So you can see the keys there. Okay.
Okay.
You're welcome. You're welcome to collaborate. But listen, if you want me to be your mentor, I will also be your tormentor.
Man like Celestine.
Because you can't get one and not get the second one. Huh? So when I choose mentor, I also make sure that they are my tormentors. People that will make me wake up and walk when I don't, even when I don't want to walk. That is your tormentor. He said it's ready. Okay, you're welcome to the show. All right.
Okay, there's a question for you, sir. My question is on research method flowcharts. I want to confirm if the flowchart we saw on your presentation is exactly the same flow chart used in preparing bid in the industry. I used to think bid writing is just a small 5 to 10 slide PowerPoint presentation.
That is you have already answered the question. You have said a presentation. Then you present, there is a bid. And the bid is, that is it. Research writing, you know, is also in terms of bid writing, because you need to tell us what you are writing. In bid writing, there is nothing like abstract. That's why you did not see abstract there. It's about the introduction. It's about what you are going to achieve. It's about what is the result. What is the initial result, preliminary result. It's about what is the methodology. What constitutes your idea for that bid. You know, we're just working on a bid now, and then on the two days ago, the company presented it to the government for me. You know, but that is, like you have said, the word bid presentation is different from bid writing. Most of the time, you have to write, and then when they approve, or before they approve, you have to come and defend that bid. That is when you do presentation, where you have a PowerPoint. So these are, are different things. So, but the same format, the same way, because if you are going to have a bid, you are going to showcase what the company is doing, then you must have research on their products and research on finding a hole why your product will be better than the other. So the idea is still, one way or the other, similar. You may not use everything there, but there are still some things that you will still use there. It's just a kind of idea brought up in a kind of system to help both researchers and industry workers. Okay. Any other question?
Yes. Yes, there's a question here from Taiwo Akimbode. Can you throw more light on the keys to research?
I've already said that now. That was why I brought up I was looking at it. I brought up the idea of the keys to research as the bullet points. in the beginning of the discussion. It's not about method, it's about status, your thinking. First, if your thinking is not right, your research excellence will be very wrong.
Okay. Thank you so very much, sir. Just to reiterate to my colleague, some of the things that I'm taking home. Excellence is an act. Every future attainment of excellence requires your first act of victory. The first thing you do to succeed, the first time you start your career, those points, your do's and don'ts, hold fast to them because it will take you far in your career. Doctor also said that we should cultivate the habit of listening. Don't always seek to be heard. It's also good to listen and glean knowledge from other people, collaborate. He said there are two kinds of people, the performance currency, always saying this, performance currency and the relationship currency, and that the performance currency is not just your gender, is what you can do. Yeah, so I'm going to hand over to my co-host. Thank you so very much, Dr. Sir. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Peace. Thank you, Dr. Celestine. It was really nice. And I think today was the last day of this series of talk. Yeah, this year, in this year, we had a lot of events in November. For example, one of them was cybersecurity. It was very nice about career development, about collaboration and funding, or about machine learning. Yeah, it was very nice. And I want to say very big thank you for you, Dr. Celestine, because you prepared this chance for all of us to be here and find out more about these topics. It was really nice, and I really appreciate it. And I have to say goodbye goodbye to all of my friends. And I hope next year again we will be here together to this series of talk, November to remember. Thank you, Dr. Celestine, and
Thank you, everyone.
thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Thank you.